Yo, what's up, people? This is Shell Vaughn with Gaming and Culture Television. When I was young, my little sisters used to love Disney princesses because they knew how to make an actual character that people care about. Nowadays, it seems like they don't. Let's talk about it. This is a Screen Rant article where I'm not exactly sure how this person feels about this, but to me, I'm not really been in love with the latest batch of Disney movies because they kind of make the same character over and over again. A little mini girl boss thing. So let's see what they're talking about. Disney's new animated movie continues a controversial heroine trait that started 13 years ago. Okay. Disney's Wish, which I'm not really that interested in. I haven't really been interested in the last one because I like it for the story and character designs and all that kind of stuff. But the way they've been doing these things, I haven't been feeling it. So Disney's Wish introduces the studio's newest heroine, Asha. Though she's a brand new character, she seems familiar to her recent predecessors. Summary for this is Disney's upcoming movie Wish features a heroine, Asha, who follows a recent trend of adorable characters, which has garnered criticism. Wish attempts to go back to Disney's roots with traditional elements like having a villain, and a wish on a star, but Asha's personality remains the same as recent heroines. What did that? Okay, no, screw that. Disney's upcoming movie Wish features a main character that is very much like the studio's most other recent heroines. This has invited significant criticism. Though not technically a princess, Wishes Asha feels like the next in line of a long line of female House of Mouse protagonists. The film's trailer features a girl singing to the stars in a classic Disney fashion, princess. Followed by a few moments of quirky clumsiness, it is the sort of adorable character that audiences have come to expect from the studio's heroines, and that's exactly the problem. With the recent complaints that Disney has begun to stray too far away from the elements that once made it great, Wish seems to be the studio's attempt to get back to the basics. A trailer features a traditional, less sympathetic villain, a nod to 2D animation, a heroine with an animal sidekick, which is basically every Disney movie, and what could be more Disney than making a wish upon a star. In all, Wish seems to be like the animated movie many have been waiting years for. However, there's a particular aspect of Wish that is precisely the same as recent Disney movies like Enchanto, Frozen, Moana, and Tangled, the heroine's personality. In the last decade or so, Disney has changed its princess archetype. Rather than a princess with her head in the clouds, the protagonists of movies like Enchanto, Moana are brave, eager to prove themselves, and a little quirky. They are clumsy, socially awkward, and unsure of themselves for most of the film. In Frozen, Anna stumbles all over herself, runs into Prince Hans, and awkwardly babbles about how gorgeous he is. In Tangled, Rapunzel knocks herself in the head with a frying pan. In Moana, the hero of Motuni awkwardly pretends that she hears someone calling her to get herself out of a confrontation. Now, Wish seems to be continuing this trend with its newest heroine. Right at the trailer's beginning, Asha rushes onto a stage screaming that she's here, clumsily telling the crowd that she must catch her breath. Later, she is seen demonstrating some goofy martial arts for the king. In all, the new Disney heroine looks like a lot of fun. Sure. The idea here is a clearly type of comedy aimed at children. However, it is difficult to ignore that when it comes to her personality, Asha feels the same as her recent Disney predecessors. This has become known as the adorable princess trope and is beginning to grind on some audiences. I don't know about that particular part, but I think a lot of people are over the super duper hero female type princesses in the past. They were feminine and unsure of themselves. The criticism of Disney's modern heroine trope explained. Characters like Moana, Anna, Raya, Merida, Maribel, and Disney's newest, Asha, are undoubtedly adorable, relatable, and a lot of fun. I don't know about the relatable part, but okay. But the fact that they all have incredibly similar personalities has invited criticism. Disney has been accused of lazy writing since a cookie cutter character is taking the place of well thought out and unique heroines. I don't know if it's lazy writing, but it is the firing of everyone who actually knew how to make an actual well rounded, well liked character. Because for many reasons, some of which is kind of like because they were white, so that they can have their diverse people who do not seem to know how to tell stories. So what they fall back on is the last thing that worked. Tangled kind of worked, but I don't know. I guess they liked it enough that just redid it over and over and over and over and over in all these movies. At worst, it could be considered a misogynist. Really? Misogynist? Okay, this is what we're going with. Since the implication that all girls and women have to have this personality types. You fired most of the actual like men. All you got left are soy dudes and feminist women. So how is it misogynist if you're the ones who are writing this stuff? Please explain this to me. This makes no sense. But of course, can have no accountability because nothing is their fault. Just a similar complaint is that Disney is trying too hard to be woke. This is aggressively steering away from the gentle, romance-seeking fairy tale princess that Disney is known for. Yeah, which worked. But you don't want to do these things that work. You want to do this new stuff, which is woke, and nobody's going for it. Still, these complaints are on the more extreme of the end of the spectrum. No, given how nobody's actually seeing these movies and they're not making any money, it's not extreme. It's basically, well, it's probably extreme to whoever wrote this, who probably thinks that they're in the majority when they're not. You're in the minority, and it's pretty clear given the ticket sales for all of this stuff. Ticket sales, the amount of people talking about these movies, people wearing the t-shirts, dressing up them at cons as cosplay and all this other stuff. Yeah, you will see them here and there, and then there'll be showcase because a lot of these characters are women of color, so therefore to boost their DEI or whatever, you'll see a lot of these pictures, but nobody's talking about these characters. So these perceptions are not in the extreme. The most common assumption seems to be Disney struggled with a couple of adorable heroines and has therefore been mass producing as many as possible. Yeah, because they're a corporation. That's how corporations work. When you get rid of the actual creative people who actually understand how to tell a story. This is especially frustrating with Wish since the studio has marketed the film as a return to the good old days. How? Because you got rid of everyone who understood what made the good old days work. Same problem with Marvel and the same problem at Lucasfilm. Everybody who understood how to make these films, this stuff work, you got rid of them. All right, with 2D animated backgrounds and a villain that won't be redeemed at the end, like Raya and the Last Dragon, Moana, and Chanto, Disney has followed through with its promise in many ways, but the studio seems stuck on this worn-out character archetype. Why Disney shifted its princess characters with 2010's Tangled. The Disney princess franchise has been through several evolutions over the years. Early heroines like Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty all shared similar, simple personalities since these films focus less on the characters' individuality and more on the stories and their themes. The Disney princess franchise has been through several evolutions over the years. Early heroines like Cinderella, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty all shared similar, simple personalities since these films focus less on the characters' individuality and more on the stories and their themes. This changed slightly going into the 90s. The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Mulan all featured protagonists with more defined personalities. Still, these characters were unattainably perfect. No, they weren't. Mulan was looked up as a failure to the women in her village. Let's see. Little Mermaid, her dad thought she was weird and quirky. She had a lot of quirks. And Beauty and the Beast, she was the weird girl in the village who read too much and had her head in the clouds. That sounds like regular women to me. So none of this is unattainable. Again, I have no idea who the person is who wrote this. But all right, whatever. They weren't perfect. The problem is that these characters that y'all make now are perfect. They don't learn anything. They don't really change. Not that much. So, and hence the problem is the people who are writing this don't seem to see that. Since Disney's audience is predominantly children who are still figuring out who they are, it made sense to change things up. No, it didn't. They figured out how to tell this story for the last 50 years. You guys have been doing something different for the last 13, and it's not been working. You do not have to figure out how the wheel works to know that it works. You don't have to change it just because you want to update it or whatever. The person does not seem to understand what the actual problem is. So this is what they personally probably don't like. So they think that what the problem is, and it's not. This led to the first instance of the adorable heroine trope. 2010's Tangled marked Rapunzel as a brand new type of princess. The film was entirely different from the traditional Rapunzel fairy tale, with the titular character being someone modern children could relate to. A clumsy, quirky character who could still hold her own is both funny and relatable to kids. Sure. And their approval of Tangled proved this. Next, Frozen introduced Anna, which drools in her sleep, wakes up with bedhead, and gets all caught up in her words, and since has become an arguably adored character, proving that this character archetype works. Again, this is not different from all the other characters. They all had their quirks. They all were unique. The thing that made Frozen such a big thing was the songs, that one song, and her sister. She was like every other princess that I've ever seen. Because like my sister used to watch all this stuff when I was younger. Yeah, it was basically the same. So I'm not sure where this person is getting this from. Relatable heroines aren't a bad thing, but Disney needs more variety. They have variety. They got rid of everybody who understood what that meant. In all, relatable, quirky heroines have served their purpose for Disney. Audiences have been able to see that not every girl or woman is expected to be as graceful and perfect as Snow White or Cinderella. And the idea of a young girl seeing herself reflected back in Anna or Miranda is precisely the sort of thing that Disney is supposed to be all about. This is that DEI stuff. This person still does not understand that that is what the problem is. The problem is not the characters being adorable. They have always been like that. This is not a new thing. It is the woke stuff that is the problem. Problem is that House of Mouse has stared too firmly into this character archetype. Elsa has been one of the few heroines who stand out against the sea of quirky characters that it simply isn't enough variety. Disney's Wish has brought back several elements that have been missing from their recent movies, proving that what was a worn out trend in one decade can come back as something fresh and nostalgic in the next. The 2010s needed strange, relatable heroines, but the 2020s could benefit from the return to the old ways. Hopefully Disney's next movie, After Wish, can feature a female character who is a little more sure of herself. Still, then the next could incorporate several character archetypes into one. After all, Disney's audiences don't fall into a single mode, so its characters shouldn't either. Okay, Angel Shaw. You clearly do not understand what the issue is, because the issue is not this character. It's not her. She's pretty much probably like most Disney princesses. It's the woke stuff. It is the girl boss stuff. It is the things that have crept into everything that you have been making that is turning your audiences off. That is what the problem is. It is not this. Like, what you need to do is they figured out how to tell these stories. You need to ignore the fact that most of this information comes from white guys, because that seems to be what the problem is. You need to figure out how to incorporate the stuff that was written before you. From what I understand about Disney, there's plenty of books and stuff that shows you how to make a good story. The medium doesn't matter. 2D, 3D, doesn't matter. It is about the story. That is the most important thing. And your stories have been very lacking because you are trying to teach the message as opposed to telling a good story, where you can embed a message in the story, but it is story first. And that's not what you've been doing. It's like these last bunch of movies, hence why they're failing. So, I don't know. All right. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. Please like and share and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Later.